Time is 7 o'clock. If everyone could please make their way to their seats.
Either or not.
Every meeting is an anti-rooster meeting. Okay, in order to have a valid meeting, we need certain things. We need the warrant. We need quorum, which is 15 people. We made it. We need our town clerk, Chris Berno, myself, the moderator. We'll start off with the introduction of non-resident members of town meeting. They're seated over here. They are people that may work for the town or can offer special expertise to the town. Is there any dissent to allowing those people to speak at this meeting? Okay, seeing none, they will be allowed to speak. Finance Committee, where's my Finance Committee? Thank you very much for all of your help in preparing for town meeting and offering the recommendations. Some of the people who make town meeting possible are checkers, Lisa Postma and Lois Garrison. Our counters, Don Postma and Lisa Freeman. Our constables, Carol Field and Benjamin Tessino. And my mic runner today will be Liam Menard. So a little bit about how town meeting, can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
All right, thank you. A little bit about how town meeting will be run. Motion is made and seconded. There'll be a proponent speech if needed. And then at that point we would go to question and answer. Please wait for the microphone to arrive. Go ahead and state your name and address, your question or your comment, and then hand the mic back to Liam. Direct all questions to and through the moderator. After question and answer, we'll move on to debate. After, again, direct all questions through the moderator. After debate has been exhausted or the question is called and a 2/3 vote happens, then we would move on to the vote. Votes will be taken by unanimous consent, where I would say, is there a dissent to passing this article? If there is none, the article will be considered passed unanimously. Voice vote, which is the typical, all those in favor, all those opposed, or a counted standing vote, where I would have you stand up and raise your voter card and be recognized. So we are going to continue something that we started not that long ago, where I'll be taking motions from the floor. That keeps people from having to come up, use the mic, walk around. If it's a motion that is the same as what is printed in the warrant, it appears to be self-explanatory. On warrant, no discussion. I'll take a motion as printed in the warrant, wait for a second, and then I'll ask if there's any dissent to passing the article unanimously. If there is none, the article will be passed unanimously. Amendments must be submitted in writing, should be made after question and answer. You must be recognized to make the motion, and it must be deemed by the moderator to be within scope. Keep in mind, while what we're doing is serious and has both long and short-term impacts to all of us, we're all neighbors. Please be respectful and enjoy the process. It truly is a great one. If you could all join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there any dissent to dispensing of the reading of the warrant? Okay, hearing none, I do have an attested warrant signed by our constable, Carol Field, and signed by each of the Board of Selectmen. So we'll start with Article 1. I'll take a motion from the floor to pass Article 1 as printed in the warrant. If anybody wants to make it. Motion been made. There is a second. Is there any dissent to passing Article 1 as printed in the warrant? There is dissent. Okay, is there anyone who would like to give a proponent speech for Article 1? Okay, seeing none, you have a question? Are there any questions? Okay, please wait for the mic. Liam, please make sure said mic is turned on.
Hello? Can you hear us?
Yep.
Okay. Ellie Chesbrough, 17 Church Street. I'm curious about the three wage things here: highway, economic development, and community development.
Curious in what way?
I'm curious of why they're there and not on the annual town meeting. I think of wages being set at the annual town meeting and not at a special town meeting.
Okay.
And
Matt?
actually all the expenses too, everything in there. Why wasn't it not included in the annual town meeting?
Okay, thank you. If you could hand the mic back to Liam. Gene, Matt, who wants that one? Matt put his glasses down, so I think he's going to take it.
So thank you for the question, Ellie. There's a lot to go through here. So the purpose of fall town meeting is to reconcile the realities of the fiscal year as they have unfolded since the time the budget was passed. When the budget was passed, it was a predictive document based on the assumptions and the information that we had available at the time the budget was created. But reality has a way of catching up to you. The tree warden expenses, traditionally we've come to fall to town meeting to ask for this number to be increased at fall town meeting based upon the resources available to the town after new growth is certified and we have a better sense of the burden. We've removed thousands and thousands of trees, dead trees from the town's right of way. We need to continue that work. Douglas, as you well know, has had a long experience with extended power failures in storm events, and that has reduced considerably in the last few years as this effort's been undertaken. The lion's share is being borne by the electric company at their own expense. The town assists in the effort, $50,000. I will let Jean speak to treasurer collector because that's her department. Highway wages, we have a co-op program that we've added to with Blackstone Valley Tech to have a student do co-op. That was added after the budget was passed. Highway maintenance expenses, I believe that Jean is where we put the
Unexpected repair to vehicles.
unexpected repair to vehicles. Where do we put the rental of the
That's under admin expense, next line.
only 11? Okay. Did you hear my maintenance expense? That was unexpected repairs to vehicles. I just got them back.
But the admin.
Admin expenses, people will see, if this article passes, people will see temporary office space moved to the exterior of the highway barn. We inadequately ventilate the office space that's occupied by the department head and staff. At this point, the windows don't even open, and we're running vehicles inside. We need to get those people out of that dangerous situation. Fire expenses is $5,000. I would prefer to defer to the chief to remind people. Cemetery expenses, we budget an annual number of lawn mowings to maintain the cemeteries. We had a very, very wet year. We had to budget for an additional landscaping expense to keep up with the grass. Town council, I believe we put this money in to complete some title work on land that the town either owns or has disputed ownership. The two wage items, Ellie, one is economic development wages. We currently have a part-time economic development facilitator whose primary mission is to make sure that all of our boards and commissions are communicating with each other and with the applicant to make the process of filing an application for land development in Douglas more user-friendly, business-friendly, and transparent for all involved. And there was also a lot of activity there around seeking grants. And the basic notion is, it's a part-time job to seek the grants. If you get the grants, then that job should be beefed up to 30 hours a week to full-time status in order to assist the town in its compliance with the administration of those grants, and to seek further activity as we go along and follow on economic development opportunities. In the last week and a half, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts has announced that the town of Douglas has successfully competed for a MassWorks Economic Development Grant for $3 million and a second grant for $300,000. Those monies are going to be put towards a project to upgrade water and wastewater infrastructure in the town from North Street out down Gilboa Street and across 146, and it will allow the town to move forward with 2 significant development project proposals, and also, most importantly, opens the door for that part of town to be developed further in the future. There was a lot of discussion when Douglas was presented with the option to have an override to support the ongoing service level of the town, about economic development being a necessary component of the plan for the town going forward, so that no further overrides would be necessary. Economic development is an essential part of that. I utilize the staff here on a very regular basis to work on process improvements, and I think the job that we've gotten so far has been stellar. Community development wages. We've been trying to budget for transitions. So when Mr. Cundiff separated from the town, we had an advertising period where we saw candidates, but we still had a significant amount of work that had to be done at the various boards and commissions that Bill supported. Most importantly, the elected planning board. So we got temporary help from CMRPC. We also got a temporary consultant for the last couple of months here as we've recruited a candidate. There was money owed to Mr. Cundiff as part of his employment with the town, so he had accrued vacation, and he was a longtime employee of the town, and as a personnel board member, you know that means he was at 20, so that's a full month basically of vacation. We have a staff member who has partially retired, so still has went from full-time to part-time, and is in the budget as leaving the town, but has not yet chosen to do so. It's a valuable storehouse of knowledge, so we, in this 37.5, includes a request to keep the person through the end of the year. Whether or not she chooses to stay is up to her. Did I cover everything? Oh, and yeah, I'm not going to forget that. There's also included in there, we're going to score to this line in the budget a $15,000 municipal stipend for the superintendent of water and wastewater department. We found ourselves in an extensive competition to retain this talent with other towns. There's a significant set of licenses that an individual must possess to run a water treatment plant and to run a wastewater treatment plant. It is rare to find someone who combines all of those skills as one person. If we had to hire 2 people at $100,000 a year, it would be substantially more expensive than what we're proposing to do for this employee and bring him up to a competitive wage. I don't know what his final resting point is. I think it's around 120. So there was a strategic move there. So what is the municipal nexus? It's around the management. There's something in this room that's killing me. The management of our fire suppression resources and ongoing conversations with the fire department, right-sizing those assets on the water department side, make sure that we have sufficient pressure and flow within the hydrant district in order to maintain fire. Audit expenses, we have a new audit team. The individual with Melanson Heath that used to do our audit has departed, so we actually have a partner assigned. Partners are more busy on an hourly basis. And the selectmen's expense, I believe this is advertising associated with real estate. And title searches.
Follow, Billy?
So there was one for Gene, one for Chief Vincent that I So there are two assets at the fire department that have to be fixed within this operating budget, outside of any other project. One is called a Plime Event System. That's the air evacuation system that hooks up to the exhaust pipe behind a piece of equipment, diesel equipment, when it backs into the fire station. That's hooked on and keeps the fumes away from firefighters in our garage doors. The garage doors are extremely heavy, and they protect our equipment from the weather. Under certain circumstances, they have to be opened by hand, which is unacceptable. So we need to upgrade the doors within the $5,000. Gene, did you want to do tax?
Treasurer collector, just for their operating expense, and again, it's good.
Hang on, Gene. Hold on. Thank you.
Like the other departments, we took a review of the treasurer collector expenses, and there's some research involved that is non-tax title related, so it has to be paid out of the treasurer expense as opposed to tax title.
Is that everything? Yep. Do you have a follow-up?
Yes.
Okay. Please wait for the mic.
I remember a year or two ago, we had economic development wages, and they were $17,500. And I thought it was for one person for the rest of the year, but apparently it was just to the end of the year. And so this is another $17,500. And then I think I saw at the annual town meeting that there is an economic development wage that is more than all of this. So I don't know how much is for that. What is the total amount for this, the wages of the economic development, for economic development?
I want to confirm my number I do at the town meeting. I believe, I'm looking for it, there was $23,094 voted at the annual town meeting. This would bring the salary up to $40,219. But I just want to confirm. 23,094 is the annual.
Okay, other questions? Okay, seeing none, would anyone like to speak on the article? Also seeing none, is there any dissent in part of passing this article unanimously? Seeing none, Article 1 passes unanimously. Article 2, Simon Fairfield Public Library ceiling repairs. I'll take a motion from the floor to pass this as printed in the warrant. Motion been made. Is there a second? Motion made and seconded. Is there any dissent to passing this article unanimously? If you want to ask questions, you need to dissent. Okay. So there's dissent. Are there any, would anyone like to speak on the article?
Funding source?
Can I provide that by an article basis?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we'll go ahead and so the motion is to transfer the sum of $75,000 from free cash for the purpose of ceiling repairs and all associated costs at the Simon Fairfield Public Library. Okay. So is there a second to that
Second.
motion? Okay. Thank you. So, question in the middle over there.
Ryan Hogan, 10 Dowling Lane. Can I just get a brief description of the project and what it entails?
You want it over here? Okay. Just hang on one second. Wipe it down first. Is there actually anything in your hand? Okay. All right. Well, it made it look like you were palming something. Go ahead.
All right, thank you. Justin Snook, Library Director. This project is basically, right now, the horsehair plaster that is on the first floor of the building, the main floor, is cracking throughout the building. And in a couple locations, it's separating from the lattice that holds it up. So there's been a concern expressed over a potential collapse if we continue just sort of letting it go along its merry way. We had to write up this sum before we had any numbers. So like the $75,000 is, it's ridiculous to say. I've got two quotes in, one at $48,000, one at $58,000. The reason it's high is because the ceilings are so high, it's really old. It's almost 200 or 120 years old at this point, and all of the electrical wiring has to be removed before they can screw blue board along the top of the building and then put a steel protoplaster underneath that. And since it's high, it requires a lot of staging.
Has your question been answered?
Can I have a follow-up?
Absolutely.
Sorry. Just excuse my ignorance, I don't know much about civil repairs. Would you describe this as fixing the problem, or is it more patchwork until a longer-term solution is found?
Justin, just go ahead and
It should definitely be fixing the problem, because we're putting blue board underneath, sucking it up, establishing a stable base for that horsehair plaster to rest on. And if there's any contractors in here want to correct me, but I think that's pretty much going to fix it more or less forever.
it's a permanent fix. Other questions? Okay, seeing none, would anyone like to speak on the article? Also seeing none, is there any dissent to passing Article 2 unanimously? Seeing none, Article 2 passes unanimously. Article 3, transfer free cash to the OPEB account. I will now take a motion to transfer the sum of $35,000 from free cash to our OPEB account. Motion's been made, is there a second? Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any dissent to passing Article 3 unanimously? Seeing none, Article 3 passes unanimously. Article 4. We'll take a motion to transfer the sum of $40,000 from free cash for the purpose of funding the purchase of a brush truck and all associated costs of equipping the vehicle, which shall supplement the AFG funding of $238,095.24, the same to be spent under the direction of the fire chief. Motion's been made. Is there a second? Is there a second? Okay, motion made and seconded. Is there any dissent to passing Article 4 unanimously? Okay, seeing none, Article 4 passes unanimously. Article 5, municipal separate storm sewer system compliance year 4 funding. Take a motion to transfer the sum of $46,800 from free cash for funding year 4 of the municipal separate storm sewer system compliance services. Motion been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Is there any dissent to passing Article 5 unanimously? Seeing none, Article 5 passes unanimously. Article 6, personnel bylaw amendment vacation. I will take a motion to pass Article 6 as printed in the warrant. Motion been made. Is there a second?
Second.
I'm not even going to try this one. Anyone like to give a proponent speech? Okay, are there any questions on this article? Okay, seeing none, would anyone like to speak on the article? Also seeing none, is there any dissent to passing Article 7 unanimously, or Article 6 unanimously, I apologize. Seeing none, Article 6 passes unanimously. Article 7, personnel compensation chart amendments. I'll take a motion to pass Article 7 as printed in the warrant. Motion been made. Is there a second? Second. Motion been made and seconded. Is there any dissent to passing Article 7 unanimously? Seeing none, Article 7 passes unanimously. Article 8. Take a motion to transfer the sum of $200,000 from free cash for the purpose of cleanup costs arising from an oil spill in the municipal center basement to include replacement day tank and pump system and all associated costs. Motion been made. Is there a second? Second. Motion been made and seconded. Is there a dissent to passing Article 8 unanimously? Seeing none, Article 8 passes unanimously. Article 9. I will take a motion from the floor to pass Article 9 as printed in the warrant, but using the term PB instead of SP. Got that? Okay.
Motion.
Motion been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. I just want to clarify the reason for that change is because there was already an SP in our codes, and so it would have been a duplicate. So we've replaced SP with PB in the language here. So given that it is just basically typographical in nature, we do allow that without an amendment or anything like that. So with that, is there any dissent to passing Article 9 unanimously? We would like clarification from our town council.
Planning board report.
Will be forthcoming at a later date. There's not a person here to do that, and we understand that there might be some ramifications down the road for that. Is there any dissent to passing Article 9 unanimously? Seeing none, Article 9 passes unanimously. Okay, Article 10. We'll take a motion to pass Article 10 as printed in the warrant.
So moved.
Motion been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there a dissent to passing Article 10 unanimously? Okay, seeing none, Article 10 passes unanimously. Article 11. I'll take a motion to pass Article 11 as printed in the warrant. Motion been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Is there any dissent to passing Article 11 unanimously? There is dissent. Are there any questions on Article 11?
Ellie Chesbro, 17 Church Street. What does change of purpose mean? Or what does that refer to? Or explain it to me?
Go ahead. Town Council. Lynn, can you wipe the mic?
I don't think Matt's that Jeremy.
Abundance of caution.
Mr. Moderator, through you to the previous speaker, anytime a board is assigned custody of land by town meeting, it's assigned custody with particular purposes in mind. It was not completely clear that one of the purposes which town meeting previously assigned to this land when it was transferred to the Board of Selectmen included disposition. A positive vote on this article would remove that ambiguity.
This question been answered? Okay. Other questions? Seeing none, is there any dissent to passing Article 11 unanimously? Hearing none, Article 11 passes unanimously. Article 12, I will accept the motion to pass Article 12 as printed in the warrant.
Motion.
Motion been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Is there any dissent to passing Article 12 unanimously? There's dissent. Okay. Are there any questions on Article 12? Okay. Question over here.
Fairview Drive. As it's been explained to me over the Finance Committee,
Just a little closer up to you.
yeah, so as it's been explained to me over the Finance Committee, this land is a couple of parcels, and there's a little bit of no man's land there in the middle, and we are supposed to appropriate some money to be able to take this by eminent domain and then be able to repackage up the land. The question I have is, it seems like we're going to do the eminent domain part of it, which is the big bludgeon from the town, taking a piece of land, and there's nobody that actually owns it right now. So can you explain how you can take eminent land by eminent domain without someone actually owning it? And then the second part of the question would be, is an alternative approach to taking the land first and then dealing with the possible heirs or other people involved? Is there a possible approach to deal with those owners or possible owners first before you use again the big stick of eminent domain? Sorry, long question.
It's okay. Town council?
Mr. Moderator, through you to the previous speaker, there are two parts to that question. One is the characterization of eminent domain as the big stick, and certainly there are situations where it can be perceived as the big stick. I think we'd all agree that government seizure of private property is a very serious thing. But it's not always used as a big stick. In some cases, an eminent domain taking is used to clarify title ambiguities. So, for example, in a case where it appears that the town may own a piece of land, by taking it by eminent domain, even if it's possibly or even theoretically taking it from itself, that removes all doubt as to the title. Once a notice of taking is recorded at the Registry of Deeds, title is confirmed absolute, so that that is not quite the big stick approach that one sees in building skyscrapers or shopping malls or that sort of thing. Now, the other question was, does one make an effort to contact heirs and do title research and that sort of thing? And to answer your question, but without revealing any, I'll call it inside strategy, if you'll allow me a little bit of wiggle room there. Yes, that is absolutely something that would be done. It's a prudent step, and I think I can say without fear, it's something that has been done. The eminent domain taking is not an inconsistent pathway with trying to reach out to everybody who possibly might have an ownership interest. It's a parallel track. The idea here is to perfect the town's position in the most economical way possible. Thank you.
Other questions?
Ellie Chesbrough, 17 Church Street. What public purpose would getting this land serve? So what is the town, why does the town need to do this? For what public service?
Al, you want it?
Yes. Al Davis, 80 Orange Street. You all heard the expression, there's nothing you can do about death and taxes. Well, we can't do anything about death, but perhaps taxes. This piece of land is a keystone for a major development in town that will produce $1,600,000 in new property tax revenues. It was already mentioned by the town administrator that we have received $3 million for the infrastructure for this development and another $300,000 for another section of town. So this is really without this piece, that project probably will not happen. So we've been working with the Economic Development Office, the state, and a large private developer. There's a Fortune 50 company that is very eager to go to this location, create 300 or 400 jobs. So if you want to lower taxes, this is the way to go. We did some calculations, and that the residential percentage of the of taxes is now about 94%. That drops to about 87% if this project is brought online. So it's vital if you want to, and everybody, I've been in town for 25 years, and always the question was, how can we get more business into town? Well, here's the opportunity to do it in a section of town that really is not impacting any residential areas. So if you want to broaden your tax base, this is the way to go. And without this piece, I think the project will stall. So I urge everybody to support it. And as was said earlier, the eminent domain is really to clear title. We're not really taking this from anybody. The town has the best claim to this property. If it's sold, it will also realize hundreds of thousands of dollars of new income to the town.
Other questions? In the back?
Lisa Malzinski, 60 Oak Street. So what is the best guess on the cost of this piece of property? Because right here, it reads that we're giving you a blank check. So I would like to know what's the best guess, and should we put a cap on how much is spent?
So everyone seems to be holding up the dollar.
It's a
which,
raise and appropriate.
yeah, and so the motion is for $1.
Raise and appropriate $1.
Raise and appropriate $1. Other questions? Okay, this will be your last one.
So if we don't use eminent domain, does this project still go through, but at a slower pace?
Well, I think it would place it in serious jeopardy because the developers, there's some other spots in mind, they've committed to this spot, but if they don't get that piece, and we're on a tough time schedule to do that. So, and basically, we're really confirming title with this. We're not really taking confirming because as town council would observe, the most likely title holder is the town. And if anybody wants to contest, they can. But this is a landlocked piece of land that has really no value in and of itself, except for our project.
Okay. So we're going to go ahead and clarify, because I see your point back there about we moved it as printed in the warrant, and as printed in the warrant is different than what the actual motion is. So just to clarify, I am going to accept the motion to
Raise and appropriate $1.
yeah, to raise and appropriate the sum of $1 to acquire by gift, purchase, or eminent domain the Gilboa Street property, so-called, is described in filing in the office of filing the town clerk titled Gilboa Street Acquisition Article 12. Can I get a motion on that? So moved. Second. Okay, thank you. That is the motion on the table now. Other questions? Okay. You just have an itch? Okay. So, anyone like to speak on the article? Go ahead.
So I just want to say that along with what you guys were talking about at the beginning, the taking of land is a very serious thing. This country was born on property rights, and when what we're doing right now is basically taking property for expediency, for clearing title and expediency, and setting that kind of precedent is kind of a little bit of a slippery slope. We have to guard our property rights in this country very seriously. Massachusetts is rated very close to the last state in this country as far as property rights. So it is only $1. It is a project, which I believe the project will still go through perfectly fine. It may be a little bit slowed down, but basically we're going to be trampling on the whole idea of property rights when we do it. So that's why I've dissented. That's why I was the 1 in 7 that dissented. and I hope you guys will side with property rights. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Hal Davis, 80 Orange Street. The property actually was intended as a gift to the town, but the deed was never recorded. So we're trying to go back and straighten out the paperwork on this. So we're not taking anybody's home or doing anything like that. And if we don't do this, I think the project may very well go away. Everybody's been pushing the town, let's get some business in here, let's help the property owners, let's maybe help the schools, let's help Ellie with the library, all everybody's special interest. Well, here's the chance to do it. I think we should go forward and consummate this.
All right, no, we're not doing crosstalk. Anyone else like to speak on the article? Okay, seeing none, is there any dissent to moving on to a vote? Okay, also seeing none, I am going to do a standing vote on this one. So this one does need a 2/3. We're using so many fingers today. That's, and I'm glad that the one finger we used was this one. That was
Very careful about that.
Yeah, good. So all those in favor of the article, please stand and show your voting card in the counter. Do we have the counters? Where are our counters? Sorry, minor miscommunication. All right, you may be seated. All those opposed, please stand. All those opposed, please stand.
Oh, we got two.
No more than two.
There we go.
Okay, you may be seated. Motion carries 50-3. Okay, any announcements? Seeing none. Please don't forget, there are a lot of boards and committees that need your help. Please consider volunteering. And with that, I will take a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Motion been made. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. All those opposed who really want to stay here and not go home. All right, motion's adjourned. Meeting's adjourned.